Businesses located near the planned temporary shelter village site got a chance to have their say on the controversial project today. Good evening, I'm Haley Perot. Thank you for joining us. City officials hosted an invite-only meeting at the Moose Hall for neighboring businesses to provide their thoughts and feedback. Emma Chilton spoke to Councillor Brian Hamilton right after that meeting, and she joins us live in studio with more. Emma?
Thanks, Haley. 2 weeks ago, City Council abruptly shifted gears and approved the 80-unit homeless village at the Hillyard site. But due to the lack of consultation with nearby businesses, Hamilton says City Hall administration has been getting a lot of calls about it. The city sent out invitations to business owners located within 300 meters of the site, and 55 attendees showed up early this morning to voice their concerns. A meeting to address concerns about the new site for the temporary shelter village was held at the Moose Hall. The media was not invited to the meeting so that neighboring businesses could share their concerns confidentially. The approved Hillyard site is located in the McKellar ward, and Councillor Brian Hamilton spoke about what was discussed.
There was, I think, some openness to the project kind of globally. People had some concerns ultimately about the location and also the operational model, given that this proposed site is there's not a lot of services in the site, so there's questions around transportation, security, and then the big resounding thing that would happen here was more about process and how City Council came to this decision maybe so quickly, and the business community, certainly the residents in the neighborhood, didn't have an opportunity to do deputations or actually speak to council directly about this decision, and that it was made rather quickly. So there's questions around transparency and the process.
The Hillyard land site at the end of Alloway Place is currently covered with trees. City staff have now released a schematic design of what the village would look like there. 80 tiny homes would be set up right next to the Carrick Off-Leash Dog Park, and the village would be within 300 meters of dozens of businesses. Hamilton says they were trying to give the owners and operators a chance to be heard.
I think what administration wanted to do is afford the same opportunity for the businesses of this proposed site as they did to the Fort William BIA. They were the business representatives at that site, and that was for the sake of transparency and equity. I think that administration thought it best to afford that same opportunity here. Obviously, it's a bigger catchment area.
Council's decision to proceed with the Hillyard site is considered final, unless significant unresolvable issues arise during the current assessment phase.
Councillor Itrini and I were here together to listen to concerns, and it's important that people are able to feel heard. So, I would encourage people to contact their councillors and talk about the decision in front of them, and to do so probably pretty soon. This project is well underway, and construction is slated to happen within weeks, not months.
In order to meet the provincial funding requirements, at least 40 units must be set up and operational by December 15th, with all 80 completed by February 27th. Emma Chilton, TBT News.
The Thunder Bay District Social Services Board is looking to launch a 2-year community policing pilot project to help improve safety in their buildings. They're asking the province for $1 million to launch the program, which would see special constables located at social housing units to deal with rising crime issues. Jessica Clement has the details.
The Thunder Bay DSAB will be advocating at AMO over the next couple of weeks for funding to support the policing pilot project. Social Services Director Crystal Simeone says it's a proactive measure in the wake of Bill 10, which holds landlords accountable for drug-related offenses on their properties.
We don't know exactly what that framework will look like in its entirety. So in preparation for that, we know that we do a lot of in-house measures already, but we feel that it would be beneficial to our tenant communities if we had a joint partnership with the Thunder Bay Police Services. We have a strong working relationship with them and their current core unit, and this would just be bringing it to another level of safety and security for our tenants and our clients.
Simeone explains that bringing special constables into some of their more problematic buildings is still in its early stages, and they're working with city police to develop what it's actually going to look like. The DSAB currently has security guards at many of its buildings, Simeone says the special constables will be hired, trained, and supervised by the police service, but will work with DSAB.
Many years ago, we had models of community policing embedded within our properties, so designated spaces for contact with our staff and with policing to address matters more on a one-on-one basis with the tenants that live at our properties.
The DSAB owns more than 2,400 units, which house the most vulnerable citizens in the district. But they've also seen higher drug activity and violence, leading to protests by tenants in recent years. Simeone says they want to do the most they can to support them.
We see levels where they are targeted or preyed upon for illegal action, home takeovers, domestic violence situations, and we feel that this model of policing would help provide some safeguards, address issues, and be a more one-on-one relationship for tenants to have that policing contact.
The Thunder Bay Police Service has voiced its full support for the initiative, with a statement saying they're committed to working with the DSAB to expand their already strong partnership, adding that collaboration is key to strengthening community safety. Jessica Clement, TBT News.
Friends and neighbors in the Dorian-Herkett area are helping a local couple get back on their feet following a devastating house fire. It happened last Thursday night in Herkett. Volunteer fire crews arrived at the scene, but the home was fully engulfed and could not be saved. The couple and their pet dog managed to escape unharmed, but they lost everything. Fire Chief Ben Atkinson says they have not been able to determine the cause. A GoFundMe has now been set up to help the couple, who are described as a huge part of the Dorian-Herkett area communities. So far, more than $15,000 has been pledged towards the fundraiser's $30,000 goal. The province announced a $195,000 investment today to support Indigenous manufacturing in Thunder Bay. 100% Indigenous-owned Supercom is the manufacturer of a new type of drainage pipes designed to protect railway tracks. Designed by TBT Engineering and manufactured by Supercom, the spring drain is a tube-like device that's installed underneath railway tracks in areas of pleatland, which is soft and spongy. The drain strengthens these areas, reducing maintenance requirements and preventing downtime and even derailments. This new NOHFC funding will go towards construction of a new building at the company's manufacturing site and buy an enclosed trailer to store and transport equipment. Supercom Board Chair Norm Gerling says the money will help a lot as the project is quickly gaining traction.
This is a product that, again, is not in the very beginnings of the innovation cycle, but it's still relatively early stage. It's been proven that it works. So innovation is not a quick process, especially in a big, complex, and conservative industry like the rail industry. But we solve a major problem that industry has that's very expensive and is very risky from a safety perspective, and that's dealing with derailments that may result out of peat bogs.
This is a great example of how the NOHFC is supporting those new innovative ideas, homegrown ideas. This one in particular is homegrown here in Thunder Bay, and we're seeing it right now across Ontario. Potential to go across all of North America. So it's really exciting to be on the kind of that ground floor supporting this company as they move forward with the product.
Frontier Lithium is moving ahead with an in-depth feasibility study for a lithium refinery on Mission Island. The potential build is backed by conditional support from the federal and provincial governments. Justin Hardy reports.
Frontier Lithium has hired Fluor Canada to lead the 18-month study, which will cover cost, design, environmental assessments, and other aspects of the proposed plant. The refinery would be built on the site of a former Ontario power generation station and is expected to create 450 construction jobs and 150 permanent jobs once operational. Frontier CEO Trevor Walker says construction will not begin before 2028, but the plant would eventually process lithium from Frontier's Pack Lake deposit near Red Lake, and potentially from other producers as well.
We're open to the potential of working with others, sourcing potential feedstock from others, but But again, I think, our main focus here is to get out of the gate successfully for Northern Ontario, for the province, for the country.
Walker also emphasizes that the refinery could supply enough lithium hydroxide for 500,000 EV batteries per year. While final government agreements are expected by late 2025 or early 2026, the current study doesn't need to be completed beforehand. Walker says this facility, along with the PAC project, will mean Northwestern Ontario will be putting out world-class material.
Just given the strong mining experience we have here in Northern Ontario, this is the type of resource that is essential in order for going downstream to produce with a refinery to produce lithium salts.
3 other companies, Avalon Advanced Materials, Green Technology Metals, and RockTech Lithium, are also considering lithium processing facilities in the Thunder Bay region. Justin Hardy, TBT News.
It's day 2 of the Canadian Lakehead exhibition, and one of the big draws every year are the nightly musical entertainers on the CLE's main stage. Last night's headliner was geared more towards the younger crowd with the Taylor Swift tribute group Taylor's Story. The kids that came out last night certainly seemed to enjoy the show, and there were people of all ages in the crowd. Canadian singer Shannon Beresford and her band performed songs from all different eras in Swift's career in chronological order, including one of the big hits, Love Story, of course. And she made sure to come off the stage and interact with the fans a bit. Tonight's performers are the Beatles tribute band, the Caverners. On Friday, it's the Northern Pikes. Saturday features a Shania Twain tribute artist, and on Sunday, it's a Queen cover band. All shows start at 9:30 p.m. Well, the festivities just keep on going, Fiona, and the temperatures just kept getting hotter today.
Oh, well, that was a smoking hot day today. I had to work outside for a good portion of it. It was kind of uncomfortable. A little bit too muggy for my personal tastes. Maybe you at home enjoyed it because although we had an early morning low of 18, which is well above normal for this time of year, we topped out at 30 Celsius mid-afternoon and closer to 4 o'clock. And we had a humidex of 39. Now that was despite a lot of cloud cover. It was actually probably a good thing because it could have gotten a lot worse. Winds were relatively light for the most part from the southwest, 4 to 17 kilometers an hour. Now, the heat is being shared by other parts of the region. Fort Frances, lots of sunshine at this hour, and they were almost as warm as us. Their humidex topped out at 38 this afternoon. Right now, it's sitting around 36, and similar temperatures in Kenora, Dryden, Sioux Lookout. It's a little bit cooler, though, as you head into Red Lake. Now, they started out with a fair amount of sunshine for the first half of the day, but this afternoon they've had increasing clouds. And then just in the last couple of hours, the winds rotated around. They've been coming in from the southwest all day, and in the last couple of hours, they're rotating around. Now they're coming in from the northwest, so they're getting more of the smoke into the region. At this time, the humidex is hovering around 31. Similar temperatures and humidex values up into Pickle Lake. Little cooler as you head into Armstrong and Greenstone as far as the temperatures are concerned, but the humidex, once again, is still hovering around 31. Armstrong is looking fairly clear, but Greenstone has a whole lot of haze at this hour and has for most of the day. Along the North Shore, Marathon, one of the cooler spots at just 20 Celsius. Wawa at 22, but again, humidex is in the high 20s. And Sault Ste. Marie has been mostly cloudy all day. The humidex topped out at 35 at around 2 o'clock this afternoon. At this hour, at 27 Celsius, it feels closer to about 32. Now, here in the city of Thunder Bay, it's going to be a little cooler than last night. We've got a low of 15, a 40% chance of showers this evening, and then partly cloudy overnight. However, For the evening hours until about midnight, maybe 1 a.m. in the morning, the Humidex is going to be hovering from about 36 all the way down to maybe 27, 28 by just after midnight. So it's going to be a very warm start to the night. After that, we get a little bit of a break, and that's when things cool down to 15 and the Humidex stops being a factor in our conditions. Now, we've had a slight adjustment to things. Now, once again, we're going to have a very hot Friday. It's going to be very similar to what we experienced today with a risk of rain, but the projections for at least the second half of the weekend are looking a lot sunnier, as well as into early next week. So might get some much needed rain this weekend, but the whole weekend is not a washout, and things are still actually looking pretty positive for the CLE until it ends, I believe on Sunday night, because I remember a lot of years growing up, it seemed to rain throughout the CLE period. Things are actually not looking too bad, though.
Wow, that's great to hear. Thanks, Fiona.